We'd get more freaking sales from doing that than you would imagine.
If you have anything bigger than that, you got to have FAA license.
We have no license for that. There is no such thing.
What is the issue with paying 75K plus commission to attract straight up killers?
You can do whatever you want.
But my recommendation is just work with someone local.
Well, we use ProLine.
Guys, welcome to Roofer2Roofer. If you guys have questions, please put those in the Q&A at the bottom of Zoom. Uh, this is your chance to ask Scott and I anything regarding the roofing business that you might want an answer to. Scott on the being a roofing business owner, and then also owner of SDR Consulting, and then myself on the tech side with ProLine. So if you guys have any questions for us, put those into the Q&A or into the chat. Otherwise, we'll go through our questions that we already have queued up, and so we'll probably start there. So let me grab our first question. First question here is, should I be using a drone for my roof inspections?
Yeah, I mean, you should have one in your arsenal for sure. If we can get on them and walk on them, we like to. We like to do a legitimate, true inspection. But for the scenarios where you got a steep roof or it's really tall, it doesn't make sense to get up there, super bad conditions where, you see her falling through the roof. Any of those situations, a drone is definitely the way to go. And then with the technology out there now, I mean, you can do a pretty good inspection with a drone. They'll detect hail, they'll detect wind damage, things like that. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's not necessarily always best practice, but it's definitely a tool that should be in the toolbox for any sales rep.
Yep. What kind of drone would you recommend?
We have all of the drones we have are the DJI Mavics or something, I think they're called.
So,
They Amazon has a pretty good deal with the Fly More combo. It's like the drone and then a couple extra batteries and a charger. And if you watch for it, you'll actually, and I might be wrong on this, but I think it's around like it'll come for sale every once in a while for like $850. When normally it's like $1,200. So every once in a while they'll run a sale on them. So yeah, I mean, and the quality's fantastic. We take video for in progress. We take tons of progress completion photos just for high resolution photos. It's a good camera.
yeah. Yeah, they're super solid. The one thing I think to look out for anyone that's going to buy a drone is make sure you buy one that isn't too big. It has to be under, I think the point is it has to be under 250 grams, which is 0.549 pounds. And so the Mavic is literally 249 grams to be right under the limit to where you don't need a license. If you have anything bigger than that, you got to have a FAA license to fly the drone. And there's other things that you have to consider. So if you want to not have to take a class, you got to make sure it's small. That DGA or the Mini 4 Pro and the Mavic are both the right size. So there's DJI. I think yeah, the Mavic should be underneath there. Yeah. Um, might depend on which Mavic you have as well, but those are specifically so that you can avoid that. All right, question here for Scott. Is there any hiring agency you know of that is killer to get salespeople? We are willing to hire big salary and appointments, benefits, etc. We just need the right agency to help us.
I don't have it. I really don't. We've looked at this avenue before. Uh, Honestly, we've had the most success with hiring good salespeople from the brand awareness that we have and our competitors dropping the ball.
Not treating them right.
Yep, they're just not treating the guys right, and it doesn't take very long for a really good sales guy to realize he's not being treated well he starts making phone calls, you know, we just put him straight in touch with the sales guys we've got. Say, hey, if you'd like to come work for us, talk to some of our people, see what they say about us, see if it's a good fit, and then let's have a conversation. So we're not out actively coaching or anything like that, but uh, you know, we're here and we're doing things the right way. And if people want the opportunity, they'll reach out, and that's when we kind of pounce on it. And I'll tell you what happens a lot of times when that's happened once, and that company's got 10 reps, very likely many of them follow, especially if they're good and their buddy that just left is like, man, this is just better. The opportunity's better. The atmosphere, the environment's better. Usually more follow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's people you if you're a good company, you treat people right, you should be able to hire through their networks, like leverage the networks.
Yep.
Have you ever done anything like college job fairs or even high school job fairs and try to pick anybody up there?
No, we just hired a guy off Facebook. Surprisingly, we run Facebook ad for new hire, and we did find a really good candidate.
Mm.
But I typically do exactly what you just said. I work within our network and our people's network. So, I reach out when it's time to hire somebody. I'm reaching out to, all the folks. I've got a typical list, about 20 different people. I'm letting them know we're looking for somebody, and this is kind of what we're looking for. And then I let my, tight network, my other sales reps, stuff like that, people that I'm very close with, hey, can you reach out to your network? Kind of let some people know. That's where we've done the best part of our
Yeah. Interesting. The I guess depending on what you need your sales guys to do, if you are looking for a high volume and you're willing to create a training infrastructure, then I know like when I did door-to-door sales, I did door-to-door pest control sales. Pretty much everybody, I was like the oldest person on the team. Everybody else had gotten hired out of like college job fairs and or um, well, actually, they did also a lot of hiring through the network, but it was like a buddy of mine from college that did it in college because his friend in college did it. And it was just that kind of thing. And they would take people out for the summer. I guess it's different industries are different though too. But I mean, yeah, I mean, roofing is you're going to mostly be door knocking during the summertime, so it could line up with school years too. But you're going to have quite the training infrastructure if you want to go that route, because you're bringing people in from scratch.
I mean, and what he's asking, those do exist. There's definitely tons of agencies out there. I get an email from one. Let me look real quick. But I get an email from one that I signed up with years ago. I've never hired from them. Man, they send. It's a recruiting company, and they send me stuff all the time. Uh, I've just never taken them up on it. They here. JDI search. They send me like high level people all the time, like a lot of C-level people, sales managers, sales reps. You know, I've never I've never really dug into it deep enough to understand like how the structure works, what their compensation is for supplying the person. I don't know that answer, but I do know they've sent a lot of really highly qualified people to my email. I've just never done anything with them.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. If anybody else has questions, would love to answer those, but we'll go back to our list for right now. Um, I think last time we had the question, when do you know or like when do you want to hire a second crew? Like when is the right time to hire a second crew? But this question is when you need to hire a second crew. So it's kind of in line with the question from Garrett. When you need to hire a second crew, not salespeople, but crew, How do you approach that? Do you go just find a subcontractor? Do you hire like a crew all at the same time, or do you look to just hire a few extra guys to kind of fill the gaps or maybe increase efficiency? What's the first step you take when you're realizing like I need a second crew?
Well, I mean, that's going to really depend on our group. All sub or you some in house. It really depends on that. But let's assume it's you're dominantly subcontract your labor. What we do is we've got a threshold of where we kind of like to be, um, as far as lead time, backlog. As soon as we hit that mark, we start increasing pricing. But we try to stay fair. We never get to the point where we're charging 60% gross profit, right? Even if our backlog is big, we're happy at 40%. We're making 40%. That let's get more people in here. If we're selling at 40%, continuing to sell and continuing to increase backlog at the same time, because our original crew is not able to keep up with as much as we're selling at that mark, it's time to bring on another crew. So once we hit that limit, our limit is about 3-4 weeks. 4 weeks is like definitely we got to figure out really. Once we get to 3 weeks, we've already at that time increased margin to try to wean the backlog back down to 2 weeks. So it's kind of a fine line. We play a really tight game with that. We don't like to be much more than 3 weeks out, but we like to always have about 2 weeks worth of backlog. So we try to hover right in there. So we'll move our sales to where you just inch them up to 40%. If we hit that mark where we're at 40% and we're getting to that 4-week lead time, okay, now we need to start trying to find a group. So that's our mark. It's roofing. It's usually an emergency. Most people aren't replacing the roof just because they don't like the color of it anymore. They're usually replacing it because there was an issue. And with roofing, it's usually a big issue if it's an issue. So we don't like to have a long backlog, and that's how we kind of manage that.
Makes sense. We have a question here in the chat. Keela says we have a very hard time finding salespeople. Commission only, finding crew is very easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way it is. What I will tell you is, I wouldn't be afraid to structure, and depending on where you're at in business too, right? Like you've got 20 proven sales reps that are all through commission. When you're hiring a new guy, they should understand that's the structure, and these guys are crushing it. You should too if you do follow the process. But let's say you're a little smaller, you don't have this huge reputation of high paying employees because you're just newer or smaller. I would recommend, and we do, the newest sales guy I just hired, he's going to be in training for a month, and I offered him a salary for 2 months. So he got 1 month for training, and then the second month is to start gaining sales. I'm not trying to start him. Like my goal is not to start him. But at the end of 2 months, salary is on. He is 100% commission. We've tried other things in the past. We did a draw system. I hated it. Nobody liked it. It's confusing. Being seasonal like we are, you owe me a ton of money come spring, because I've been paying the draw all winter, and now you owe me a bunch of money to come spring. It's just not a real good fit, I don't believe. But I think just offering some sort of pay structure to get them onboarded and get them into the cycle of sales. I mean, our sales cycle is about 3 weeks. So the day they start, and we don't pay until the job's complete. So let's just say, for instance, it takes you 3 weeks to actually close your first deal. And then you got a 3-week backlog. Now you're 6 weeks from the time they started to the time they collect their first check. It's going to be hard for a lot of people to not have an income for 6 weeks. And it could be longer, right? Like it could be longer the time of the year, the whatever the leads that you get, whatever. And it could be shorter too. But that's why like I said, I'm doing 1 month paid training, 1 month of paid uh, selling, and then after that, the salary's off. You're kind of on your own. Way I see a worst case scenario is he doesn't sell a single job, pay the guy some salary, and he quits. I mean, it's not like I'm paying him $800 a week, just to be clear. So it's not like I'm paying him some ungodly amounts enough to let him survive, but it's not enough to make him happy. And I don't want him to have enough to make him happy. I want him to earn enough to make him happy.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else? Well, I guess if you guys have any other question, a new question just showed up. Um, this is a follow on from Garrett. What is the issue with paying 75K plus commission to attract straight up killers if we can fill calendar with appointments? Is there a flaw in that kind of setup?
You do whatever you want. I mean, there's no rule to this. I feel like for me, I want my sales reps. Here's the thing. This is just my opinion. If they're a straight up killer, they're not going to want extra. They're going to want full commission pay, and they're going to want a higher. So 75K. Let's say you're paying 2% commission. I'm just guessing. I have no idea what the thought is. But let's say you're paying 2% commission plus 75K salary. My guess is that if he or she is a savage salesperson, they're probably going to rather just pay me 10% commission, no salary, or 8% commission, no salary, because they'll probably make more money. And then for you as the business owner, you have less risk, you have less overhead, because that salary isn't really a job cost. The commission is a job cost, though, so you can directly correlate that commission to a job expense. They don't get paid if they don't sell. So he says, great, use the salary to attract and let it be their idea to do commission. I mean, you can do that too, but like your question is asking about, a straight up killer sales rep. They know they're good. They're going to want it right off the rip. They're going, you can put it in a job listing or something like that, but if they're really good salespeople want commission. They don't want salary. That's just my opinion.
Well, yeah, you're gonna get a different kind of person for sure. And 75, so I'm trying to think. That's 75 is aggressive. Like not even in the software world, which is usually a lot less commission, a lot more salary. Do people usually make 75K base? Um, it's
We
more,
did 40K base with a 2% commission at one point, and
yeah.
that's how we onboarded two new guys at one point. They liked it, but all of them have went full commission. They're like, "Man, I'm talking loose. There's money on the table. I want more skin in the game. Sure,
Yeah.
let's do that then. I'd rather pay you more, and I have less risk."
Yeah. So I think I think the logic is flawed that if you're paying more salary, you're going to get more killers. That's not really what you're going to get is people that are looking to clock in, clock out and not have the stress of commission, which are not the killers. The killers want the commission, but then they also need to, have a ramp up period where they are not entirely stressed about money. So if you can provide them that, I mean, I like the way you approach it, Scott. It's like you're easing them into it. Um, in Yeah, it's a eat what you kill, especially with a non-recurring. So like in the software world, like we pay our salespeople a pretty decent base, and then they have commission on top, but we are nowhere close to 75K. I'll tell you that. Like at that point, you really are just providing someone like a clock in and clock out job, and that's what you're going to attract is people that are like that.
And what we're doing is essentially like a sign paid over the course of 2 months, right?
Yeah.
Like That's kind of what it is. But it at least puts food on the table where they can afford to kind of work.
Yeah.
Here's the deal: if they don't start selling, we don't want them anymore. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of how we look at it. Is like, okay, you've been here 2 months and you don't have a single sale yet, or even multiple people in the pipeline about to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, I don't even really want you anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, if you have a month of training, now a month you're actively out bidding jobs, you should have at least some sort of handful of jobs sold. Like for me, I would assume about 5, but you should also have a nice little piece of business sitting in your pipeline that you're actively still working.
Yeah. For sure. All right, we'll move on here. And for everybody that's joined us, please do, if you have any questions for us, it can be on the topic of sales commission, salespeople, or it can be on any topic regarding the roofing business. Put those into the Q&A or put those into the chat, and we will address those. We got a question here from Mohammed. I'm just starting a roofing company in Columbus, Ohio. Any advice? What's your top advice, Scott?
I live 2 hours away from Columbus, and that's a competitive market.
Don't start it in Columbus.
It's tough up there. Well, I mean, I don't really spend a lot of time up there. Man, there's a lot of roofing companies in Columbus. Now, I will say, if I'm going to give you some advice, the only thing I would say is Columbus has seen some fairly significant storms in north of Columbus, if I'm not mistaken. Some pretty good hailstorms and windstorms in the last year or so. You're probably not going, I mean, if you're just starting a company up there, don't even fool with SEO. Don't mess with any of that stuff. I would really work, your local network, and then canvas around leads you get from your local network, jobs you get from your local network. Canvas those areas hard. And then, try to build an organic social following on Facebook or whatever. Even in the paid ads, you're going to just get raped in price because there's you got like Feasels up there. Yeah, these are companies that they're enormous, hundreds of $1 million businesses. They've got the ad space just absolutely saturated. They'll pay for it too, and you shouldn't pay for it because it's not going to pay off. Work at local network, work the canvassing, knock the doors, do the stuff that's free or very inexpensive. Because even if you pay for Google ads right now, you're going to pay an absolute boatload. And chances are you're going to show up very low. So I would definitely lean more into more of like an organic tactic and approach, trying to get jobs up close.
SEO is probably just not something to invest in year one.
A super basic website to get started is good enough because
you're not
9 out of 10 of your potential customers are probably not even say you need to start without even worrying about a lot of that fancier stuff. Go get yourself and get your face in front of people.
Yeah. I mean, that's the advantage of being in a larger city is like there's that many more connections you can make. There's that ability to network, just a larger pool of people to network with. And so, probably lean into that versus trying to do SEO or anything like that.
Yeah, I would tell you this. One thing that we've done in new markets that's been very successful where we have absolutely new presence is, and this is such an old school thing, it freaking works, is just going and handing out 10, 15 business cards at little local shops. We'd get more freaking sales from doing that than you would imagine. And good sales. Like when we get that call, our close percentage on business cards is like really high. Because it's, owner people stopping in to grab a coffee. And they know they need rough. They see your car sitting there, they pick it up. Now, I'm not saying we get tons of calls on it, but we get a fair amount for the effort that's put in and the cost. Meaning by what, 2,000 business cards for like a couple $100. You can put a lot of business cards out for a couple $100.
Yeah. All right. Next question here. How do you send documents for electronic signatures?
That's a you question, I think.
Nah, they're asking you what you use. What do you use, Scott?
Gotcha. Oh, gotcha. Well, we use ProLine. We get where we DocuSign. We send the quote. It's got an electronic signature in the quote, so they can approve the quote with our contract attached. So it initials and signs the quote and the contract all in one shot. We send our crews work orders. When we send it to them, there's an electronic signature button. They can sign it. Now we have a signed legal work order with a crew. You can do it for material orders too. If for some reason you want your supplier to recognize that he did receive it, you can put an electronic signature on that. I don't know where else would we use that. I think that's pretty much the only places we use those. But in ProLine, it's all just in settings, pretty simple to add. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yep. I love it. A question for Mohammed here. Well, actually, this is a follow-up on that same question. So is for Scott. This is specifically in regarding to things like permitting docs, affidavits, etc. Have you started using the fields feature yet in ProLine, Scott?
I have not.
Okay. Right now, how are you guys handling those? Like documents that can't be recreated in ProLine?
Give me a scenario.
I think this is in like an insurance context. I think that it's probably just not a thing in the retail.
I don't really do insurance work, so in that situation, we do have. I have a Adobe Acrobat Adobe Reader, and we can do e-sign in there. So like for the scenarios I'm going for, it's like liability insurance or stuff like when they just need my signature to sign off on something. We just use Adobe for that. For those one-off things, we just upload the email into Adobe, sign it, send it back. There's another actually great little tool. It's an app on your phone. It's called iScanner. And if I'm on the road, that's how I digitally sign documents. I just open it with iScanner. And iScanner allows you to just put your digital signature in there. You can even scan like a piece of paper and it will scan it, and then you can add your signature to it too. So I think it's like $5 a month or something like that. It's pretty inexpensive. Doesn't do a lot of function, but for just scan a quick file and sign it. Well,
Yep. So we also have a new feature in ProLine that we just launched last week called custom form fields. You can add form fields to you can upload documents of any kind into ProLine, into your quote. It's the inside the quote tool, but it's just what we call it, the quote tool. As these are not quotes, but you can upload any document. You can put in custom form fields just like you would on like a DocuSign or something like that. So you can turn a PDF document into a complete fillable form, including signatures, and then you can send that for signature through ProLine. And when it goes out, when they collect the signature, it'll get plugged in on the document, and and then you're good to go. All right, so we will move on here to Muhammad, or back to Muhammad. So, also, I just applied for my HIC license, and they're taking forever to approve it. I know you need to pull permits, but do I need to wait for it to start knocking doors and start getting jobs lined up? HIC license.
Yeah, I don't even know what HIC license is. I do know in the state of Ohio there is no I'm not talking about Columbus. Columbus may have its own regulation, in Franklin County or city limits Columbus. But as the state of Ohio, there is no such thing as a contractor's license for roofing. So, like we pull permits all over the state, Zanesville, Columbus, Cambridge, wherever, Marietta, and we have no license for that. There is no such thing. So you might check with some local building authorities, but if it's not in the city limits of Columbus or something, you very well may not need that to start pulling permits. And if I'm not mistaken, most counties don't require a permit if it's outside of city limits. So, that might be something to check into. But I'd start knocking doors now. I mean, put them on the books, and if you can knock the door, get the appointment, schedule the job, just tell them it's going to be 3 to 4 weeks before you get started. Hopefully, that gives you enough time to get your ducks in a row on that end.
Yeah, I did just look it up. So there is a home improvement contractor's license required inside the city limits, but yeah, in the meantime, while you're waiting on that, working outside the city limits sounds like a good plan.
Yep.
Um, so we answered that. Next question here is any tips for starting out door knocking? We don't have hail damage here in Boston. What would my pitch be?
So the best way to do it, because we're very similar. We don't really see, storms or damage, but we still canvas well. Um, it's kind of a multi-step process. The first thing you want to do is you want to be knocking the doors around the appointment. So if you got an appointment, you go out. What we like to do is get there about 20 minutes early, and we go to like 6 or so houses right around the appointment. And with business cards, no door hangers, just business cards. And we're trying to give them a business card and just say, hey, we're looking at your neighbor's roof. Just wanted to let you know we're in the area. If we end up, doing the job for them, I want you to have my card that way. Uh, if there's trash blowing around or anything, give me a call. You're not trying to sell it all. And then during the production, the morning of production, we like to do it again. Our project manager goes and he goes out to 12 houses or so. And he's doing the same thing. He's handing out those business cards. Hey, working on Sam's house down the street. Anything's blowing around, any issues, trucks in the road, whatever. Here's my personal line. Just give me a buzz and we'll be sure to take care of it. Those two, you're not trying to sell. The last one is after the job. So when you're doing your final inspection the following day or whatever, you want to get out there that day. We like to go to 24 houses at that time, so we keep expanding our reach. And at that time, we're going around. Hey, I did notice, we were roofing Sam's house down the street there. I did notice it looks like your roof was probably installed about the same time. Would you like a free inspection? It's retail. I don't see wind damage, but it does look like it was probably about the same age as Sam's. Would you like me to jump up there and take a look and see if I see anything wrong? Give you guys kind of a report of what's going on with your roof, how much life's left in it. Something very simple like that. It's not real salesy. It's just trying to make relationships in the
All right. Next question here. Do you guys know of any good website or person that makes company merch? So I have experience with this because we were working with a company that initially we liked that was a recommendation from a friend, but they were based, I think, in Minneapolis, and we kept having mistakes and then having to ship things back, and it just turned into a massive headache. So my recommendation here, and Scott, I don't know how you've approached this, but my recommendation is just work with someone local. Don't it's like it's not rocket science like creating good merch. And the thing is any printer can order in bulk from any of the shirt manufacturers. So you just tell them, "Hey, I want to work with this manufacturer." They'll place an order for those shirts, and then they'll print on them. So there's no limitation on like from like printer to printer on what they can print on typically. They all have mostly the same equipment. As long as they're doing true screen printing, they can just find somebody that you can build a relationship with locally. That way, if you have issues, you go down the street, you can go check out. They can do a batch, and you can come check them out, verify they're good before they print your entire, big batch. Um, that's my recommendation. Is just like check out three in your local area. Go show up and like see some of their work because they'll have examples like laying around the shop for sure of their work, and then just go find someone that you can see yourself working with over time. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I just actually switched back to a local person yesterday. So yeah, you know the reason was they were willing to work with me and start doing stuff a little quicker, meet some lead times that I need met for new hires. So I said, I'm hiring 2 new people. I need stuff. Or you guys can go get it to me. If you're up to continue working with us, we'll start getting to you on that time. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah. There we go. All right. So we got a few more minutes here. If you guys have any additional questions, um, and I don't have any other questions from you guys right now, so we'll jump back to our list. Trying to find one that's in the same vein of what we've already been talking about. Ooh, specifically talking about starting a new business in a crowded market. What's your outlook on using direct mail? Do you guys use direct mail, Scott? And how would you recommend using that, especially as like a potentially an early company?
I personally don't like direct mail. I would rather, especially as a new company, it can get expensive quickly. Um, it's just my opinion. I know a lot of people like it, a lot of people have success with it. I've not seen that success. And being a new company, I would rather, let's say I was coaching a new customer, right, or a new business. I was helping get them rolling. I would rather see them go out and grind instead of spending, thousands of dollars on mail. Go out and knock doors because the mail is not going to make a relationship. You in front of them, there's an opportunity to make a relationship, and that relationship very well could extend past you doing their roof. It could, maybe that customer becomes a great referral partner and tells everybody to work about you, tells their mom and dad, their brother and sister, and maybe you end up doing 4 or 5 roofs just because of that one relationship. That happens often. You're not going to get that relationship nearly as often off direct mail. And being a young new company, that is what you need to get successful.
There we go. If you were, I would the for early on and small, especially because it does get expensive. I would say a caveat to that is if you can set it up with your CRM to automate one at a time. So it's like you're sending a handwritten note, handing a handwritten note after the job, or you're sending a flyer to the 5 closest neighbors around your job or the 10 closest neighbors. That can control the cost a lot. And then also give you the highest impact rather than just like sending 5,000 mailers or something.
ProLine should do that.
Well, we're about to have a second partner that does it. But who knows? We might have a built-in solution at some point, but we'll see. But we have one. We have Dope Marketing that is already integrated with ProLine that can do that. And then also we're about to launch a SendGym integration that can do the same thing. And so there'll be 2 different options there. All right. Just a couple more minutes left. So if anybody wants to drop another question. Um, we're talking about commissions. All these questions here are kind of like big things to embark on. I don't want to get into like a deep topic right here at the end. So we might just wrap up a couple minutes early unless somebody else drops a question. What uh what are you most excited for this week, Scott? Anything going on?
That's a big risk question.
That's a big roost. I said we stopped asking that on big roost.
I remember. Um, Real, I just hired my mom, and I'm super excited about it because she's really, really overqualified for an office manager. But she worked for the federal government, and she was not fired, but she was on the choppy block with all the stuff going on there.
Yeah.
Which she doesn't appreciate, but I actually, coming from the private sector, do appreciate. And it is putting a lot of good, talented office people back into the hiring pool for the private sector. Man, those government people make a lot of money for, and I'm not saying all of them mistreated because I don't think my mom did, but there's no office jobs like that are basic data entry type jobs that pay what they pay, but there's really skilled people there. So it's exciting to see some of these really skilled people come back into the private sector. And I think the private sector should always flourish above the public sector. And I just think that's the way that the country was meant to be. And I hope that with everything going on, we can afford to pay these people fair wages to where they still make a great living for their family and have a great opportunity. Because at the end of the day, working in the private sector usually is a better environment than working in the public sector. There's just a better culture typically, I believe. So I think it's a good thing. So, but I'm super excited. She started Monday. We've been working on training all week. I'm pumped. I think it's gonna be a great thing for us.
That's awesome. That is awesome. All right, cool. I guess I have to answer now too. We're doing the whole big groups thing here.
Yeah,
I
you
guess,
got it.
I'm excited about. I'm getting back into a lot of coding for ProLine, which is exciting. Actually building things, which is fun for me. It's been probably about 6 months since I was able to actually personally build anything. All right, we'll wrap up there. Thanks everybody for joining. It's been great. Thanks for all the questions, and we will see you guys. Quick announcement. We are changing the day for Roofer to Roofer. It is moving same time, but it will be moving to Mondays starting next week. So we will see everybody on Monday next week.